and how we can best steward ourselves really in that role. And I just pray that this conversation would be a blessing for all of us, and that we could glorify you through it. In Jesus' name, amen.
I wonder if people are leaving the time with Mondays. All right. Try not to lose software. So here's the numbers. We were going to show this to everybody here. We're up to 219 members, which is, I don't know, it's like 30 in the last couple of weeks. It's not too bad. And then look at the blog engagements. It's doing between 7,000 and 8,000 views a week now.
That's fabulous.
That's needed, yes. And then 678 resources. We're looking for people to write, to put up resources all the time, including members. 3 e-courses coming. I've almost got the spiritual well, I can't say almost. I'm about halfway through the spiritual formation for counselor and therapist. And then there are 5 upcoming trainings, 2 from Mark Knox, 2 from Brian Fiddler, and well, maybe there are 6, and Casey Hall, and then 1 from Brian Fiddler and Sarah Wood.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Your spiritual formation.
that's an e-course.
Okay.
So maybe it is 5. And well, Tori Gilden was supposed to be doing, but that would be an e-course too. So it could be 4 e-courses. I haven't heard from her lately, so I got to get a hold of her. We've got 105 groups, and we're actually planning on slimming that down a little bit because it's too many. And then we're going to do group leader invitations for people to lead different state groups and to try to drum up some activity that way in their communities. Okay. So we did the member feedback survey. I don't know if any of you filled that out, but this is largely the answers. Many of these things we're working on, and it's funny because some of the things were already done. I think folks just didn't know where to find them. So the mobile app is in the plans. We're saving for it, but because we have to do it through Cause Machine, who's the host for the site, it's about $10,000 because it's so specialized. So it's coming, but maybe not right away.
Yeah.
People wanted easier access to groups and events in general, not just with a mobile app, and so we're working on streamlining. Or Lucas, I should say, that so they're easier to find because it can be a little confusing as it is right now. Some people said fewer emails, but they can just change their email settings. Whoops, go back. It's going forward. Well, I want to go back. I'm trying new software here. There we go. Come on, there we go. And so all they have to do is change their settings in their account, and they can get fewer emails. So if you are getting too many emails, they want additional live meeting times, which is kind of interesting because we're having trouble getting people in the ones we have. But maybe it is just the times.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, the more specific feedback we can get on
evenings and weekends, and people can start their own groups too. We just haven't been able to. It's not just us; all of us founder type folks. We have not been able to get meetings in the evenings just because we all have kids and activities. So, okay, flexible meeting options. What else is in there? Recorded sessions for those who can't attend live. We do that anyway. We put them up. This one will go up tomorrow if I have anything to do with it. Expanded training and CEU opportunities. Ooh, this one's fun. So ACEP is the group within NVCC that approves CEUs. Now, with Michigan, people don't need CEUs for a licensure because we're the best. And but we have the application almost done, and we're going to submit it, and it takes a few months to hear back. But we could, by fall, have it for almost all trainings. We could by fall have it, so people can get CCUs with our training. Lord help me. They want supervision training, which I think we can do. We just have to set that up. Clinical tools on specialized topics. We actually, I don't know if you all have noticed that are here that in the blog, there is a skills series that I'm using AI for, but I'm verifying everything. And so those skills are legitimate, and it walks you through how to do each skill. Eventually, there'll be 400 of them. And half of them will be, or half to 2/3 will be members only. And so that's coming. Deeper community connection. People were looking for that, and that's what we're going for. So in-person or regional meetups at localized peer groups. So that's part of the reason why we're going to be asking, people are going to be getting emails, certain members to lead different state groups to see if they can whip up their state people into a froth and get a meeting in person and online together periodically. And somebody said an anonymous prayer request board. I don't know if that can be done. That's a question for Luke, but I would think so. But, we want it to be the kind of community you don't have to be anonymous. Enhanced support for students and new therapists. So they want practicum and internship support. I'm not entirely sure what that looks like because in the space given, people couldn't be that specific. National exam prep, or actually, that's on the list for things to do. Low pressure spaces to engage, so text and chat groups, asynchronous discussions. We have about 105 of those already. Mm-hmm. So all people have to do is find the places where they need the help or want to connect. Easily accessible resources, that is worksheets, assessment tools, and directories. So we have them. They may not be terribly easily accessible, which is why we're going to change. Did you say the layout of the website?
Yeah. Format is the way I had.
Yeah.
Layout may be better.
I don't know. Format's good. Content improvement, less AI generated. There is a lot of AI generated stuff. It is all verified. But the thing is, it's me writing 500 blog posts. So if there are other people that want to write it, we've been doing more of the original from our brains without help from AI lately, just because we knew we needed to. But if there's anybody out there that wants to write or put up resources, I think we have to approve it. But it'll go up on the blog, and you can actually put your name as the author. There's an option when you go in to post content where it'll give you the option, instead of saying remnant, it'll give you, you can click on your own name and you'll get the credit for it, which is fine by me. Expert Q&As, this is something we can do. I happen to know about 50 faculty and a handful of psychologists, and we can get that going at some point. Special requests here. People are asking for an annual retreat for Christian counselors. That is in the plans, but to rent a retreat center can be upwards towards $250,000 or more. And so we'll have to be bigger before those things that we're hoping to do can actually start. Support for supervisors again, and then animal assisted therapy content, which actually Dr. Knox and Mayfield have both done equine therapy. That's the word, right? Equine therapy. Right. Yeah. And so we could at least do some of that. And then I think there's already a blog post on pet assistant therapy, like how to get your dog certified. Give them a bath first. Here's the social media stuff. We're on all 4 of these now, and LinkedIn and Facebook. Facebook is 130, LinkedIn is 164, Instagram is 59, YouTube has 98. So it's growing slowly, but it's growing. So we're excited about that. So if you haven't followed those and you would like to, if my copy and paste is still that stuff I had copied it. Let me see. Nope, it's not letting me do it. Let's see. Okay. No, it won't let me do it. Just look at, oh, what happened? See, I did it again. So find us on those sites and I'll get going. Okay, so we want to talk about any questions on that stuff first. Okay, we want to talk about preventing burnout, from which I've been suffering for my whole life. It feels like. So we face unique emotional and spiritual challenges and burdens and are calling to serve others. The things I heard today even would flabbergast most of the people at my church. And so it can creep in, it can get to you, and you don't even realize it. And I can tell you all about it from first there. I like to say there are 3 times in my life I've been burnt out. But we were looking at the symptoms today, and Melissa said, I think you're burnt out now. So
It's true.
it's debatable. We'll see. So there's a particular kind of heaviness that comes from holding space for others day after day. You guys understand this. It's compounded by the spiritual calling to serve, and then the expectations even within the church and within the counseling community as a whole wait on us to walk that line directly in between them and figure out how to keep our integrity and manage the ethics going. So I'm sorry if this is a little choppy. This is new software I'm learning. So it's been pretty great. So burnout, chronic workplace stress, not been successfully managed, but as we found out, parenting can give you burnout, and financial stress can add to burnout, and all sorts of things can add to burnout. So we have these 3 main dimensions. It's emotional exhaustion, depersonalization or cynicism, that almost separation from yourself and negativity, the reduced sense of personal accomplishment. I've felt all of those at one time or another, and it manifests in feeling distant from God while constantly talking about Him. I've said that before when I've been teaching the spiritual formation of theological foundations. There's been times where I've been more dry or down or discouraged, and I'm teaching these things that I need to hear myself and put into practice. And I think if only the students knew and understood, like, the weakness that can come in teaching these things as well. So, the unique burnout risks for us specifically, that is the sacred overfunctioning. I've been seeing this more and more and more. Believe we must always be on spiritually and clinically can lead to perfectionism masked by obedience. We can go through the motions, I think, better than most anybody because we know the stuff and we know how to make it look. And it's easy to fake people out. But there's this idea too of performance within that. I would say, it doesn't say it in the box, but this idea of like you're always supposed to be producing something. Always supposed to be producing something. And if you're not, then you don't have value. And I think even at CCU to get promoted, in Colorado Christian, to get promoted, you have to have a certain amount of production every year. Angel, you worked there for a while. Maybe you guys had some of that too. But as faculty, it's hard to even take a week off because your grading is still there, and the responsibility is still there. And even within therapy, your clients still have needs whether you're there or not. And so it's like, how do I do this well? So compassion fatigue meets vicarious trauma. Listening to years of trauma, grief, and abuse, addiction wears on the soul. Yeah, compassion fatigue, they have a lot of assessments for that sort of thing. There's specific treatments for it. You can get especially just treating other therapists, which is really interesting. Messiah complex. Without realizing it, we sometimes start believing we are more essential to the client outcomes than the Spirit Himself. I've had to have this with supervisees. That like, no, they're going to be okay as long as they're not suicidal and are at imminent risk. Really, just let them stay in that. And so they have a hard time because they want to get people out of it early on. Under-supported ministry. So Christian counselors in churches or nonprofits often face heavy caseloads with emotional support or clinical without emotional or emotional support or clinical supervision, or they don't get paid at all. And those things happen. Warning signs you're burning out. Do you want to do this one and talk about me? Dreading client sessions or canceling regularly. So I haven't, well, I mean, I've canceled before, but I haven't canceled regularly.
It's been more for your own health stuff that you've had to cancel.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have dreaded sessions. I know that. Experiencing irritability, emotional numbness, or cynicism. Don't say it, I think. Disengagement, some spiritual disciplines. Really, I'm the guy who teaches all this stuff and talks about it all the time. I've got the training coming on this, or the e-course, I should say, on the Remnant platform. And I struggle with it all the time. All the time. Feeling ineffective or useless as a therapist. There are times where I felt like I wasn't any good, like the first 12 years that I practiced. But I was working with, 8.5 years. I was working at Community Mental Health with people who, even if you were helping them, many times just wouldn't even want to let you know. It was
A really challenging population group at that time.
yeah, so are you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
We worked mostly with teenagers,
and kids.
resistant teenagers and
Yeah,
kids.
yeah. Well, you did too, actually.
Yeah.
And their families. Physical symptoms, insomnia, fatigue, headaches. I get the fatigue. I still have the fatigue, not the insomnia. And I don't really have headaches. But like just this overall weight and tiredness. Is this the one you wanted to talk about? No? Okay. So even the most faithful servants faltered under pressure. I'm just going to read this to you. Elijah, after the spiritual victory, was so depleted, he asked God to take his life. Jesus, after healing many, often withdrew to lonely places to pray. Paul wrote of being burdened beyond strength. Whoops. Don't turn that down for me. I'm so professional. Yeah. So this is really helpful. Name the season, meaning I am burnt out. That's how I read that. Engage in Sabbath practice. We do that, but you can ask Melissa. I don't do it terribly well. We've got to get better at it. And it's not a performance thing. It's just that I know it'll benefit us. Like it's not legalistic. Like I'm not going to go to heaven if I don't practice Sabbath right. This is like I want to get the benefit, and I want to spend the time with God. And I need to do better at this and stop with the distractions and the avoidance.
I have a hard time slowing down.
I do. I cleaned the garage somewhere.
You end up doing other projects.
It was Sabbathy, I guess. Pursue peer consultation or supervision. Which is really interesting because you folks that, if you haven't been in the field long, right, you'll find that the longer you're in the field, the less you'll get of this, the less you'll feel like you need, which is why, like at Remnant, I mean, we have plenty of people who've been in the field a little bit of time, and few a lot of time, but most of them are pretty new or about to be pretty new in the field so far. We're getting more. We had a couple of professional memberships, new ones come through the last couple of days. Reorder your life around the sacred rhythms. People think about this as like a calendar of when they do it, or they put like alarms in their phones for when to do certain things. And I think that's all well and good, but more than this, it just becomes like a matter of habit eventually. And it's just how you live your life is that sacred rhythm. Is this the one?
Sure. So Jesus says, so this is especially for those counselors who are feeling weary, and some of you I think are newer grads, but I think internship and coursework and all of that can leave you feeling pretty burnt out at times. And so Jesus says in Matthew 11, verses 28 through 30, "Come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And I struggled with those verses for years. I actually wrote a blog or a post on Remnant, so some of you may have seen that. Sorry if it's repetitious, but I used to struggle with that. My yoke is easy because I always was kind of like, well, I don't want a yoke at all. Like that just sounds hard. But after studying this some more and reading the book Gentle and Lowly, I really have come to appreciate that yoke is seeing the yoke more as a guide instead of a burden. It's a guide. And so instead of, a lot of times I kept reading that as, well, it's still there, so it's still a bit of a burden. Maybe it's easier than some others, but to be able to see that yoke, what Jesus has provided for us as a guide for us, as opposed to being a burden or something to carry, has really just changed my perspective. And I really appreciate Christ's description of him, or the description of Christ, that he's meek and lowly in heart, or gentle, is another word that's often used. He understands what it's like to feel weary, and he desires for us to come and find restoration in him. And so I just find so much encouragement in that.
Yeah. All right. So this wasn't with my parents so much, but it was a church culture. Let me back up just a second. Christian counselors are called to serve and support others, but this calling comes with a unique set of emotional and spiritual burdens. So faithfulness requires that we recognize our limitations. And I've sat under pastors before who said if you weren't serving, you weren't really part of the church family. Is that what you heard in America? And if you think you weren't serving, you weren't fulfilling your duty. And he's looking at, like, I remember, because we had little ones at the time, and I was like, I'm so tired. How can I do one more thing? And so there's not a lot of understanding. It's back to that idea, if you're not producing in some way, that it could be service or otherwise, even in the church, then you don't have as much value. And we have to be able to look that kind of thing in the face, whether it be at church or in other areas of life, even work, and say, this is where I end and where you begin, and I'm not going any further than this. This is I'm tired and I can't do anymore. So sacred rest and obedience, that's the spiritual disciplines. I have found that when I do them regularly, I am much healthier, feel much better. Avoid the Messiah complex. You can't heal them all. You are not Jesus. Even he got tired on earth. Seek support and supervision, and that's what we're trying to do here. Not so much the supervision yet, though that it could be coming, like supervision groups for licensure in different states. But you need community. So the conclusion then is maintaining a healthy and sustainable ministry as a Christian counselor requires recognizing and addressing the signs of burnout. Prioritize your self-care, practice Sabbath rest, establish those boundaries. You can serve for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Let me stop my share. Any thoughts, questions, or otherwise? Statements? Not a big group tonight. That's okay.
I think I've just appreciated hearing this stuff over and over, and the fact that my program has emphasized this, and one of the professors made the comment at one point, start self-care now, while you're in school. Don't think that you're going to do it when you're done. And that has really helped me start putting some of this stuff into practice now. And even when it's going to mean I'm going to lose points on an assignment because it doesn't get turned in on time or something like that. And then, at the end of the day, when I come home from seeing clients and I'm just burnt out, I'm just done. I can't do anything else. Being able to take that time to sit and just rest and be, and know that it's okay to put other things on the back burner. So, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Hannah, because same for me too. While I'm no longer in grad school, just reflecting on that time, it was rough for whatever reason. And I don't know if maybe your program is different, but I was in a 2-year intensive program for a clinical counseling master's degree. And it was so much. And all our professors talked about how important self-care is, and it's all we hear about in the field, right? All we're encouraged to share our clients with. It's just around us everywhere. And yet even the program that was, that we're a part of usually that are, maybe meant to help build us up in that direction to becoming, therapists who are able to move forward without burnout, ideally, end up burning out in the program. Like so many drop out, they can't keep up with the loads. They take a slower, course route just because it's too much. And so, just thinking about my grad school years, I was probably at the most, to be totally transparent, unhealthy, zone or part of my life at that time, just because I couldn't keep up with things, but I was still striving, still trying to go at it and keep up with all the demands and things. And by the end, I was just so exhausted, so burnt out, questioning whether this was actually, the field or, that I wanted to be a part of or something that God was really calling me to. And I, of course, feel different about it now, but at the time it was really hard. And I, thankfully I was in a place to where, at that time I could move back in with my parents and didn't, have to start work right away. So I took 7 months off because, I could, and I'm really thankful for that, that privilege that I was, essentially granted, that was available to me. But it was a lot. And if it hadn't been for that time, I probably wouldn't be licensed today. So it's wild, just how much, we hear about it, how often it's talked about, but then to actually put it into practice and prioritize self-care, spiritual, practices, disciplines that are helpful for us. Even sticking to a Sabbath, even if it's half a day, you can't do the full day, we'll do some of it. It makes a world of a difference. So.
Amanda, can I ask how long you've been working in the field?
Yeah. I graduated from my master's in 2018. Started 2 workplaces ago in 2019 and have been practicing since. So licensed for the past, how long is it now? Since 2022, I believe. So just a baby therapist still. But
Thanks for sharing.
Where did you go for the intensive 2-year?
I was at Point Loma. I'm in San Diego, so Point Loma Nazarene University. I was a part of their first cohort, so we were the guinea pig program too, on top of it all.
You said Biola?
Mm-mm. Point Loma, PLNU.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
It was,
So I'm gonna step in a little bit and Amanda, it's great that you're in California. I'm new to this area. We just moved from Colorado here, so it's
cool.
nice to meet you and anyway, for me, I'm gonna put Dr. Wichterman on the spot. I took classes with him, and some of my favorite classes were the spiritual disciplines. There were reminders to set that time for the Lord. So for me, just graduated in December and had our ceremony last 2 weeks ago, actually, at TCU. So it's fairly fresh. Thank you for me. But his class was just a constant reminder to have time with the Lord. We were planning a church, my wife and I, in Colorado, and working full time, as you mentioned, at TCU, and it was just you're going all the time, and it was hard to really slow down. One of the assignments that I had in his class was to really purposely spend time with the Lord through prayer, through song, and it was several hours that we had to get away and do that. And that was one of probably the best assignments that I had. And I was a pastor, at the time, but it was just a good reminder to do those things, you know, for just to set aside, let's say, everything that was going on and really see it not so much as an assignment, you know, but something that I wanted to keep going and keep praying. You know, there are things that in grad school, at least for me, you know, it was one of the challenges, I guess, you know, to spend time with the Lord as I used to, you know, as I used to do. So for me, it was, you know, just constantly being reminded through that class to have time with the Lord and to really organize myself a little bit better with classes, with homework, with church, with congregants, all those things. So that I could have time with the Lord and for my wife as well. You know, now there's a new baby in the mix, and so that's a challenge now, even after grad school. But yeah, I would say, you know, it's still a lesson, you know, that I'm learning, as Dr. Wichterman mentioned, you know, that he's still kind of trying to get at that, you know, at the spiritual disciplines, and I do resonate, you know, with what he said, because even for me as well, you know, it's like I still have to carve that time purposely because I want to, not so much, you know, because I have to, but because I want to spend that time with the Lord, you know.
Yep. Angel Hannah actually went up the mountain with us. She spent a whole day doing that.
Yeah, really. Okay.
Actually,
a lot of fun.
Dr. Mayfield is
Pretty awesome, man.
Dr. Mayfield's taking over that particular class with the retreat attached to it.
Okay, that's awesome.
I think they got 20 or 25 signed up this year.
That's great.
Okay. Pretty awesome. I wish I could have done that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there is talk of allowing alumni to come at some point, like
Okay.
on a yearly basis if they want.
Okay.
I don't know how that would work yet. There's so many things in the works. It's just kind of on the list.
I wonder though, if we do like a remnant retreat, if incorporating some piece of that into that would be a
Cool.
option.
You mean the disciplines?
The disciplines, but even like some of that alone time,
Oh, yeah.
maybe not, you know, maybe not a whole day, because obviously the community aspect, you know,
Yeah.
but to
That's
do
all.
even like an hour or something like that
Yeah.
as a part of that.
It's very cool.
I'm forgetting what else was on the, so we got, this plan was a bit last minute. Like Luke had said this morning, he couldn't come, and then Fiddler on his way home from work texted us, was like, I'm getting sick. So I'm trying to think of what was next on the list. You remember?
I think, I mean, we had planned for the discussion and then probably prayer time.
Oh, right. And we're small enough that
Yeah.
we can do that here.
I had a question for you guys, if you don't mind.
Oh.
For the recordings, could you remind me, I may have missed this, where we can find that? Like, I missed the first couple of minutes of tonight.
It's it'll all go on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
And then I don't know if the last one got posted ever. I think there was so much going on. I don't think Luke got to it. So I'll post this one tomorrow. If I could, if not tomorrow, it'll be early next week. He built that e-course that's live, and now he's working on another one. It was the marriage, what is it? The EFT e-course is going to be up probably into next week. So if any of you went to that training, they're going to send you a coupon, so you get access, so you don't have to pay again. So nobody wants to pay twice for one thing. So yeah, it'll be, if you're following that YouTube page, it'll go up there, but then we'll post it in the
The lounge.
community lounge, group lounge. What do we call it? Member lounge? Member lounge.
Thank you.
Yeah, did the one with Dr. Klein get posted? You said you
That's,
don't
I
think it got
haven't seen
posted?
it, and now I don't even,
Yeah, I don't
I think
remember seeing
Luke
it
had downloaded it. I don't know if he got it up to you.
Okay.
So yeah, Dr. Jeff Klein was, well, you guys were there, so
Yeah.
so we gotta get that one up too. Those videos do really well. Like there are several of them that have over 100 views that are up there on the channel already. And for us, that's a lot. especially for like a 60-minute video. We're still growing. And growing and growing and growing. And learning. So, okay, we want to do prayer.
Mhm.
You guys have
You're
anything?
gonna stop the recording for the prayer request time.
I was just gonna cut it off, but we can probably smarter. All right, we're gonna stop the recording now.